No other American election has gender played such a critical role. If Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton does indeed become the first female president-elect on November 8th, it will have been millions of women across the country who have brought her over the line. Polls are showing that Republican Donald Trump is clearly struggling with the female electorate after the release of that 11-year-old tape where he's heard to be making lewd comments about women. Jay Newton-Small, a Time Washington contributor and author of Broad Influence, joins me now from Washington. Jay, thanks for being with us. Now, as a result of an ugly campaign, it does appear misogyny has indeed become a deal breaker in American politics.
It's true that the election really has come down to women voters in a really striking way. The last 2.5 weeks have just been so disastrous with these allegations coming out that he'd groped women, the tape where he bragged about groping women, that it's just really destroyed those poll numbers, and he is now down anywhere from 6 to 10 points if you look at national polls.
Certainly, if you take a look at those polls, particularly those, say, from Nate Silver, which shows what would happen if just women were to vote. And as you'll see in blue, Hillary Clinton would win almost outright versus what would happen if men just voted, with Trump getting into the White House. It paints a very stark picture of gender difference, doesn't it?
It does. And in fact, women are the most powerful voters in the United States. We have swung every election since Ronald Reagan. We tend to vote 10% more on average than men do in elections, and we make up already 53% of the electorate. So it's a crucial demographic when you're looking to become president. And the only times Republicans have actually won the White House in the last 20 years is with George W. Bush, and that's when they've mitigated the loss of women to Democrats to less than 10 percentage points. So women tend to vote more Democratic anyway, but you have to sort of pull enough independent women, enough women, and Donald Trump just isn't doing that. So that's really where he's lost so much of his ground, and it's really stark, the differences.
But Donald Trump was the man that Hillary Clinton needed to win the women's vote, especially since she's had such a trust issue with voters.
So Hillary's never appealed particularly with younger women, but she's very lucky that she's running against Donald Trump, because the one person that younger women don't like more than Hillary Clinton is Donald Trump. And frankly, he's been a gift to her. I mean, she's a very flawed candidate. She talks herself about how she's not a natural politician. And if she'd been running against anybody else on the Republican side, particularly Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio, most Republicans inside Washington today say that she'd be losing at this point, given all of her own scandals having to do with WikiLeaks and her emails being hacked and other things. And so, but and all of that is being ignored because Donald Trump is just dominating the news with every day some new allegation of a woman coming forth saying he groped her, or his responses to them, which have been incendiary, to call them ugly, to call them out. And so she's very lucky.
If Donald Trump was to win, how will that impact women's rights in the United States?
I mean, you look at women's groups, you talk to women's groups, and it's they just view him as a step backwards. Yes, he has this platform with his daughter Ivanka, but it's not. I mean, it doesn't actually feel real. He never talks about it unless she's actually there. He never talks about it unless he has to sort of make a case about why he's appealing to women. This is not a natural sort of selling point for him in any of his stump speeches, and so. There is a lot of worries that amongst women's groups that Donald Trump could represent a severe sort of rolling back of the progress women have made in the workforce.
Conversely, if Hillary makes it to the White House, what is that going to mean for America?
Well, when I interviewed Hillary for my book, she talked about how she would govern differently because she is a woman, which I think is, she argues that she brings a very different perspective to the office, and she certainly is the first candidate ever to campaign almost completely on a platform of equal pay and paid family medical leave, maternity and paternity leave, childcare. These are issues that are traditionally viewed as women's issues in the United States, and yet they are some of her biggest applause lines. Her audience is almost exclusively women when you go to her events. And so if she governs the way she has campaigned, it would be a very different picture for women in America. She's pledged to make at least half of her appointees, including half her cabinet women, which would bring thousands more women into the government. And she says that she wants to create a public-private partnership to bring more women into the private sector. So it would be a very stark choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump if you're looking at it through the gender lens.